We're back now at 7:40. Mastering the latest video game may be at the top of your child's summer agenda, but what do you really know about those high-tech toys? Well, authorities tell us that many of today's gaming devices, as well as some popular internet games, could potentially allow predators to contact your kids. Our national correspondent Natalie Morales has more on this. Hey, Natalie.
Good morning, Matt. You know, these games are all the rage these days, but parents should be forewarned. Whether your kids are playing them on the home computer or they're using those handheld devices, well, they could be connecting to some unwelcome players.
Millions of kids have them. You may have nagged your own children about how much time they spend playing them. But sometimes they're not all fun and games.
These predators are always going to go where the children are.
Detective Tom Kish, a computer crimes investigator, says the new frontier for sexual predators is internet games. Games that can be accessed from desktop computers, home gaming consoles, and even smaller handheld devices. Anywhere there's wireless internet access.
All these different smaller types of devices that we wouldn't normally consider something that would be used to commit a crime are being used.
These 12-year-olds are part of the Tween Angel Network, devoted to internet safety. They study the danger kids can run into with the smaller portable gaming systems.
Have any of you been contacted, or any of your friends that you know have been contacted by a complete stranger while you were using one of these?
We found that kids have been contacted by strangers, and they try to talk to kids and tell them that there's somebody that they're really not.
And with some games, you don't even need a wireless connection. Nintendo DS has a feature called PictoChat. The tween showed me how it works, connecting with other people up to 100 feet away with no internet.
So we're about 40, 50 feet away from Paul and Nick right now.
And they're able to send us messages.
Sending us messages, no problem here. So we're able to have a whole conversation with this little device.
Right.
With them right there. Now, if it's a stranger off school property, that's where you're worried, right?
Right.
Because somebody could, just outside that school fence, probably make contact with you.
Right.
It's not just strangers who can pose a problem.
So kids were actually bullying each other, chatting back and forth on these devices.
We found out that a lot of kids were bullying each other a lot and used it as a place to go to get back at kids and stuff.
What did your research then make you aware of, and what do you hope that parents and other kids will get out of seeing this?
Well, I think once the parents see the research that we've done, they'd be more aware of what the kids are doing on their handheld devices.
And we talked to Nintendo about the PictoChat on its DS gaming system, and they emphasized that it only works at a distance of 100 feet and said if a child receives an unwanted message, they should treat it like an unwanted phone call and should simply disconnect. We also talked to the Electronic Software Rating Board, and they urge parents to use parental controls that can limit who the child can play with on the internet. And they urge parents to treat online-enabled games the same as they would with the internet here. So, Matt, message here is be sure to talk to your kids. Make sure you're watching who they're talking with as they are online or even using these handheld gaming systems.
It's really important information. Let me bring in Perry Aftab, who's the executive director of WiredSafety.org and the founder of the Tween Angel Network that helps kids fight possible internet safety threats. Perry, I had no idea that gaming could allow people to contact your kids. None whatsoever.
And that's why we're doing this piece. A lot of parents don't realize it either. And they may walk into a store and buy the latest handheld game or gaming device without realizing their kids can talk to others and others can talk to their kids.
And these kids, I mean, they've really been educated. Your Tween Angels Network, which you're the founder of. And it was a real eye-opener for me because I am totally technologically unsavvy when it comes to the gaming systems as well. You have some important information the kids also came up with as well. First, you say is to teach your children, and as parents, you have to tell them know who they can trust.
Absolutely, and you need to know the brands you can trust in the same way you trust the Today Show for this kind of information. Nintendo was designed for kids, and their games are kid-friendly, so you need to recognize that there's certain brands that are more trustworthy than others.
And logically, then it follows, you go into a store with your children to buy one of these games, you need to ask some questions. What are the most important ones to ask the person who's selling these games?
The first thing is, can my kids communicate with others? Can others communicate with my kids? Can they see things I don't know about? How can I control it? How can I stop it? And then you sit down and talk to your kids. What are you going to use this game for? Let's set some rules here. You follow them, otherwise that device ends up in my drawer.
Most of these gaming systems, if you're in a Wi-Fi area, you can access pretty much anything.
Well, you can. Many of them, not most of them. The Nintendo products you can't, but the Sony PSP is a Wi-Fi, so you can be in your backyard and your neighbor has an open network. Your kids are now on the internet, not with your filtering software.
So you say it's really important then to set ground rules. I mean, I imagine this is the same thing. It gets to, don't talk to strangers, but on the internet, you can be approached.
You can, and first thing you need to do is teach your kids that if somebody's coming to them through any of the devices, if it's somebody they don't know in real life, their cousin who's next door, or their best friend, turn it off. Come to you. Trust you. Bottom line, you're the parent. And unless you're willing to take that responsibility and know when to turn things on and off and set the rules and enforce them, you have no business getting your kids any electronics at all.
And this can't be one conversation. Once you set those ground rules, you have to reinforce this over. And these have to be almost weekly conversations you have with your kids.
Set the threshold. As the kids learn more, you can give them a little bit more trust. If they earn it, give it to them.
Yeah.
Perry, thanks. Natalie, thank you as well.
Always.